Hi, Jackie with Famished Farm. Good morning. I forgot to put my mic on, and I it was one of those mornings. I couldn't find any of my seed starting stuff. Finally found it in the box that I put it in at the end of the season, but when I put the lid on the box, it covered up the garden part of the whole label. So anyway, finally got everything together, and so we're going to start with our Miracle Grow potting mix. It's just what I can find in smaller quantities, and I use a little shoebox size plastic box, and I'm going to fill that about half full, and I do it about half full just in case when I add my hot boiling water, if I put too much water in, I can always add more soil mix to make it the right consistency. And you may have a different consistency you like. I like damp, but not so damp that it clumps. And that's kind of what I'm going for here. Now, why the boiling water instead of just cold water to rehydrate that seed starting mix? Just, it's an extra layer of protection, and it probably makes no difference. I've done it both ways. It just seems to me it takes a couple minutes for that kettle of water to come to a boil, and why not? When I'm done mixing this up, I'm going to put the lid on it so it can continue hydrating and sterilizing while I start to pull out the seeds I'm going to be working on today, and also to show you the seeds that I received that I forgot to show you last time. And this was just the $10 of free seeds that SeedTime was offering, and I picked up a couple that I wanted to try. Some columbine flowers, perennials for the front yard, which is kind of in a shadier location. Those do well in shady or sun. So that's the one thing I'm going to try. Quinoa, which I've never grown, I'm going to try. And then zucchini, just for some extra vegetable punch in recipes. Not my favorite thing, but we'll try it. While I was at a farm supply store, I went ahead and picked up these two different watermelons to try also. And then I come across the peppers I'm going to be doing, a California Wonder sweet pepper and an Anaheim chili hot pepper. And I decided to go ahead and do my tomatoes at the same time because I'm late on the peppers. I'm about on time on the tomatoes then. And I'm going to do a big boy tomato and a beefsteak. I decided apparently not to do cherries because I was so overrun with cherry tomatoes last year. Maybe I'm just going to do slicers and Romas on tomatoes this year. Back at our hydrated soil or seed starter mix, we are going to go ahead and pot up 2 of each of the peppers and tomatoes of the 2 different varieties of each. And the tomatoes, I end up putting 2 seeds in both of them in the same cell, just because they're older seeds and we'll give them a fighting chance. And then the peppers are newer, and so there shouldn't be any issues with viability. So, and we're starting early enough that if there are, I can, get more going. And hopefully this heating mat that I've got set up, my waterbed heating mat system, will help the peppers get an earlier, bigger, better, more vibrant start. Oh, and look, I do remember to label. Although I did forget the date on the peppers, I go back and add the dates. And I did already put it in my calendar, so I have a little better record this year than most years of when I actually started things. So we can refer to that down the line. Both of the tomato and the peppers that I'm planting today call for a 1/4 inch planting depth. So I just lightly tamp it down and cover with a little bit of soil. This waterbed heater that I'm about to show you is one that I used in my business, and I'm just no longer using it. So it's my first time ever using a heat source for seed starting. And what I found out in just the couple of hours since I set it up and doing, of course, some more research is it's too hot. Even set at 70, I put maybe a cup of water in the tray, and that water was already gone that quick. So I end up using some canning rings to lift it up off the actual mat, and I added a humidity dome, which this particular seed starting set does not come with one, and usually they're broken by the time they get to me anyway. So I just create my own heat dome using some more of those plastic shoe boxes. And we'll just keep an eye on it and see if that is actually working as I hope, to keep the moisture in and get these seeds started. I also had to check and see how long the seed mat should be plugged in, if that's a 24-hour, and yes, it needs consistent heat. So that will be plugged in. I won't have to worry about the timer for that. And because more labels is better than no labels, I go ahead and decide to add labels for each of the 4 varieties on the outside of the tray. I end up adding just a little water to the top of the trays, and then I add about a cup of water underneath also. And then we just do a little cleanup here before I pull out the timer that I'll use in a few days, weeks, when the seedlings actually come up. I have to relearn how to set up the timer for the grow lights. And here's what our first plants in the ground, so to speak, look like for 2024. Again, we're not a huge garden, but we do really enjoy having salads every day. So these peppers and tomatoes will be much loved and appreciated. The heat mat, as we said, is a water bed heating mat, and waterbed heater, I guess more correctly. And it's just was not being used at the house, so we're taking advantage of it. What we end up using as a humidity dome for these seeds is just some unused clear plastic shoe boxes. And we'll keep an eye on this because this is a new system for me. We'll have to see how it goes. The next day that we have some sunshine, I'll pull those out of the van and get those set up and continue out there putting down some cardboard and mulching with some leaf mold the strawberries, and we'll get rolling on getting the bales conditioned. So that's my plan for the next week or so, and I'll keep you informed.